The focus of this video is going to be introducing to you the normal way to multiply decimals. If you've watched any of my past videos, you've seen how we can multiply decimals using different types of models and how we can do it using lattice. Here we're going to use the standard algorithm. If you enjoy the video, please make sure to subscribe and pass it along to anyone else that needs to know how to multiply decimals. With that said, let's begin. Let's say we are going to multiply 3 5/10 times 7. So when we are multiplying decimals, I would recommend setting it up as we do, or as I did right here, with one number on top of the other. And we're not going to need that decimal point until the very end. So we can just ignore it and treat this as if we're multiplying 35 times 7. So first do our 7 times 5, which is 35. Put down the 5 and carry the 3. And then do our 7 times 3, which is 21, plus 3, which is 24. And we end up with what looks like 245. But here's where the decimal comes in. If we notice, the decimal point is right here, and we have one digit behind it. Now if we look at our second number, we don't have a decimal point, so there are no numbers behind any decimal point. Stay with me right now, I know this might sound a little weird, but since we have 1 and nothing, 1 plus nothing is 1, so our decimal point is going to go past the first number to the right. So we have a 5, and our decimal point will go right here. So our answer would end up being 24 5/10. Now if I've lost you, don't worry, we're going to do a couple more examples. I started off with an example that only has one decimal point in it. There wasn't one down here. So let's try one where they both have a decimal point, and I think that might make a little more sense. So this time, we're going to multiply 4 6/10 by 3 2/10, and notice how both numbers have a decimal point this time. So we start with our smallest place value on the bottom, the 2, and we'll multiply it by the 6. So 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1, and then 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. Now, since we're moving over to our next place value, just like with regular multiplication, we put in our 0, and then we can do 3 times 6, which is 18. Put down the 8. I used that one, carry a different one. And then 3 times 4, which is 12, plus the 1 is 13. So now we have 92 plus 1,380. Just based on how this looks, we're going to put the decimal in a moment. Let me scroll down a little. So add them up just like you normally would. This is basically a multiplication problem. We're not dealing with these decimal points until the very end. So 2 plus 0 is 2, 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1, 1 plus 3 is 4, and then we just have the 1. Now, look back up top. Here's our decimal point here. How many digits do we have after the decimal point? Just 1. How many digits do we have after this decimal point? Just 1. So we count up the total number of digits that are behind both decimal points. We have 1, we have 2. So then we go past our 2 digits. 1, 2, and then the decimal point will go right there. So you always start from the right side and count in however many digits we go past. So 1 digit, 2 digits, 1, 2, decimal point. And that's all there is to it. Let's try one more example and see if you can figure out where the decimal is going to go before I tell you. Our final example has 5 89/100 multiplying 7 4/10. Notice, I did not line up the decimal points. When you are multiplying decimals, you do not have to line them up, which is a very nice thing. Adding and subtracting, yes, they must be lined up. Multiplying, not necessary. So this is perfectly acceptable. We have the one decimal point over here and the other one over here. So with that said, why don't you copy this down and start multiplying? Hopefully you come up with the right partial products and then the product, and then we'll talk about where the decimal place goes. And if you're not 100% certain, follow along because I'll do it with us as always. So first let's take our 4 and multiply it with the 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Put down the 6, carry the 3. Then 4 times 8, which is 32, plus 3, which is 35. Carry the 3 again. And then we have 4 times 5, 20, plus 3, which is 23. So we're done with that 4, and I'm going to cross it off this time. I'm also going to cross off the numbers that we carried. So we're moving to our next digit, the 7. So remember, since we moved over, we have to put in a 0. Let's keep it white. Put in a 0. And now 7 times 9, which is 63, so put down the 3, carry the 6. 7 times 8, which is 56, plus 6, which is 62, so put down the 2, carry the 6. And then 7 times 5 finally, which is 35, plus 6, which is 41. So we have those as our partial products, and now we can add them together. 6 plus 0 is 6, 5 plus 3 is 8, 3 plus 2 is 5, 2 plus 1 is 3, and the 4 is all by itself. So now it's up to us to figure out where does the decimal point go. I want you to pause the video and I want you to think about what I've said and how it is the total number of digits behind the decimal points in both of our factors. So pause it and come up with a guess of where you think it's going to go. Well, hopefully you said to yourself, here's my decimal point, and I have 2 digits after it. And then here's my other one, and I only have 1 digit after it, so 2 plus 1 is 3. That means, starting from the right side, I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then my decimal point is going to go right here, between the 3 and the 5. If you came up with that, awesome. If not, just remember, it's how many digits do we have behind our decimal points. How many decimal places do we have? 1, 2, 3, and then start from the right side of our product. Hope you found this useful. Be sure to subscribe, and good luck with multiplying decimals.